women's basketball, both on and off the court. Saddle up, folks, and get ready for a great ride today as two teams are neck and neck in the AP Top 25 poll. Number 5, Oklahoma coming in to visit the 6th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Hey, everybody, and welcome in with the Hall of Famer, Carroll Peck. I'm Tiffany Green. We have two of the premier teams in the country, boasting two of the best bigs you'll see in Oklahoma's Reagan Beers and Clara Strack for Kentucky. And to pull off the tune from the Four Tops, I think each team can claim that ain't no woman like the one they got.
Well, and they both have dynamic women. You start with Oklahoma. Reagan Beers is a force inside. She uses her power and her strength. A lot of time requiring double and triple teams, and at that, even it's hard to stop. But don't get fooled by just her inside game. She's got a face-up one as well. On the other side, you have Clara Strack, who gets her job done in the paint in a little different way. Got a little finesse to her game, little Dirk Lewinsky, but she also can stretch the defense from the three-point line. Look, these two women, yes, are going to be a force inside, averaging over 16 points a game. But it's not just scoring, it's also getting on the glass. Rebounding numbers are very similar, averaging double figs. And then they also are great passers as well, each one over 2 assists a game.
Two dynamic post players, but we will see so much more. Clara Strack, one of those Wooten Award midseason top 25 watch list players, along with Reagan Beers, the All-American. And we are ready to get underway here in this top 6 matchup. First time Kentucky has hosted a top 6 matchup in the AP poll since 2013. Off the miss, Tony Morgan leads this offense for Big Blue Nation.
It's going to be interesting to see which team delivers the first blow. Both of these teams are coming off a loss on Thursday night.
Morgan finding her spot, spinning off, and the first 2 points collected by Morgan and the Wildcats. Back the way inside, a whistle, 2 bodies hit the floor. It's going to go against Reagan Beers in Oklahoma on the offensive foul. And Kentucky gets the basketball. We think about Reagan Beers, but the complement of the new face in Aaliyah Chavez has been a nice spark for Jenny Baranczyk's team, along with Peyton Verhulst, their big 3. On the other side, you've got Kentucky. Tony Morgan, a new face, veteran point guard coming in. Clara Strack. They're missing Tiani Key, who is out with an injury. She's listed week to week for Kenny Brooks. Jordan Obi, tough shot. And off the carom from the glass. It's Oklahoma out and running in transition. Their pace of play, something we will talk about throughout this broadcast. Peyton Verhulst with the bucket, but they're second in the nation in scoring.
Well, you're looking at how Oklahoma is able to rebound and run. And you talked about Kentucky not having Tiani Key. That is going to be an area, because it wasn't just defensive rebounding, but Key could create those extra possessions on the offensive end.
The 3 from the top of the key, no good for Beers. The offensive rebound, hitting those boards, boards specifically. Sahara Williams gives them an extra chance and can't connect there. But you mentioned the absence of Key, not in the lineup. So it shifts things around. Jordan Obi now playing the 4 position. She's posting up inside on Williams. And that one was contested and deflected by Williams.
Yeah, Jordan Obi transferred in last season from Penn, where she had played at the 4. So making the adjustment of playing in the post with Tiani Key out is not that big of an adjustment. It's not a player that has been comfortably having to play inside.
Beers quickly as she fades away. No good, and last touch by the Sooners. Well, Jenny Baranczyk in her 5th season has led Oklahoma to 4 straight NCAA tournaments, coming off that Sweet 16 appearance, first in a dozen years for the Sooners, and she's got this group ready to go. 5th ranked in the country, 14-2 overall, as you mentioned, Carolyn, suffering their first loss in conference play against a ranked Ole Miss team, back on Thursday.
This is the matchup that I want to see. Beers and Strack guarding each other, and will that maintain throughout the game because both players have to stay out of foul trouble.
Nice hesitation there, and Toni Morgan with all 4 points thus far for the Wildcats. Boy, she has continued to just thrive here coming off of SEC Player of the Week honors. She's had a great start to league play.
Watching Toni Morgan too on Aaliyah Chavez, but there's Beers. She's stretching the defense as well. You see both post players playing kind of outside the paint.
Well, each team just trying to feel each other out as Beers gives the Sooners a temporary advantage. Gets a hand on that one. Sooners come up with it. The defense too has been great as well for the Sooners as Chavez too strong there.
Often Aaliyah Chavez is going to come down in transition. We got to hold her breath because she can make those big shots.
One of the most phenomenal freshmen that you'll see in the college game today. She is just electric off that 1 foot. You talked about it, and one for Clara Strack. A tough shot for Clara Strack. You said it right there in the open. That fadeaway, it falls there for the junior.
With the dribble action of Kentucky, the weave, and then when Clara Strack gets the switch, she now has Aaliyah Chavez on her, recognizes that she has the size advantage. I think that was a little awkward off the wrong foot, but still she was able to get it to go.
Averaging 16 points a game, coming off a poor shooting performance, the worst of her career, just 1 of 13 from the floor and only 4 points in Thursday's game.
Alabama was conscious on making everything that Clara Strack got difficult. A lot of contact. She felt their presence.
Coming inside, and again, second chance opportunities for Oklahoma. Peyton Verhulst ties up the ball game. She too struggled from the floor in her most recent game. That's the beauty of players. You just try to bring the best out of them. They find ways to rebound. Kenny Brooks, who is in his second season here, has done phenomenal work in just his short time in Lexington. And what he told us was, hey, look, I challenged Clara Strack. Like, do better. That was the worst game that I've seen you play, so I know it's only going to get better from here. You know, a player of her caliber is going to respond.
You know, he said that, though, that after he went back and watched the film, she just didn't make shots. There goes Aaliyah Chavez, that freshman who is so special for Oklahoma. This is how Chavez can keep the pressure on the defense. If you retreat to try to recover, as soon as you give her space, she's getting that bounce right up into her shot.
And she is leading all true freshman scorers in the NCAA with better than 19 points a game. She gives Oklahoma a 3-point advantage, 10-7 in the early going here in Lexington. Ooh, too strong from Morgan, nearly hit there. And back the other way, a young backcourt with Zaya Van and Aaliyah Chavez, and Peyton Verhulst is picking up great signs early on from Jenny Baranchek.
Yeah, Peyton Verhulst, she struggled in their last game against Ole Miss and really, I think, got into her own head about missing shots. And Jenny Baranchek said she's got to just remember how good she is and trust that shot's going to come.
Amelia Hassett with an open look from 3, no good. And defensive rebounding, an area where OU has excelled this season, leading the nation in doing so. They get another defensive rebound and converts on the other end as we see the true freshman Brooklyn Stewart with the make.
We talked about no Tiani Key. On offense, you could have Tiani Key, Clara Strack, and Amelia Hassett going to the offensive glass. Without Key, you're going to see Kentucky have 2, sometimes 3 people getting back in transition.
Obi working on Stewart. Tough shot. They've been deflected by Stewart. Going again. And this time a whistle and a foul is called against Oklahoma. An 8-point advantage for the 5th-ranked Sooners on the road. Media timeout will step aside here as well. We came in talking about the post, Carolyn, but you've got 2 point guards who are absolutely terrific, and they're hot like an oven coming into today's game.
Well, you've got a freshman in Aaliyah Chavez who is averaging over 19 points a game. And look, she is so quick off the draw. She can give it up, get it back. She can push and keep the pressure in transition, and you gotta love the pull-up three. So nice. And on the other side, you've got a seasoned veteran in Toni Morgan, second in the country in assists. So she can probe the defense. She finds the open player. McKinney Brooks has talked to his new point guard this year about, yes, I know that you can distribute, but we need you to score. We have seen that come along, because boy, did she put on a show against LSU.
When you look at the numbers and how they are able to get it done, to your point, Carolyn, and I'll tell you, Toni Morgan, who has just come in and brought her own shoes. She was a three-time All-ACC selection at Georgia Tech. She takes over for the graduated Georgia Amore, who moved on to the WNBA, and Toni Morgan, who has solidified herself. And she told us earlier, hey, look, I was just trying to find my space in this team, how to balance being on a new program, on a new team, under a new head coach.
Look, in the last 11 games, she's averaged 16.4 points per game, shooting over 50%, not just from the floor, but from the three-point line.
Was honored before today's game with her 600 career assists in her last outing. Jordan Obi at the free throw line, shooting a couple after the foul from Brooklyn Stewart. Also during the break, one of the three-pointers was downgraded from Reagan Beers, and it's a two-point basket instead. So it's a 14-7 ball game, now 14-8.
Now, Oklahoma has a lead, and Reagan Beers is on the bench. And will Kentucky be able to take advantage of that? You know, right now for Oklahoma, really have 4 three-point threats on the floor.
Chavez pulls up, tough shot, rolls out. That's the first miss in 5 attempts for Oklahoma. Amelia Hassett looking back the other way and getting set in the half court are the Wildcats.
Impressed with how well Oklahoma getting back and matched in transition.
For as much as we talk about Oklahoma's offensive prowess, their defense has been elite as well. Too strong from Hassett.
Well, and Jenny Baranczyk told us this morning, though, number one thing that Oklahoma has to do defensively, defend one-on-one. Don't get beat off the dribble where you've got to rotate and help, because that's when Kentucky's offense works, when your defense gets in rotation.
Chavez on the inbound. Kaya Smith, first minutes of the ball game as Stewart launches a three. It's off the mark. Good box out from Asia Boone, who pushes it back the other way up ahead to Morgan. And Morgan, who continues to look for her offense early on. And Toni Morgan, 6 points, 3 of 4 thus far from the floor.
Morgan's going to keep the pressure on the defense. And I think you got to have a strong move and a counter move. The strong move, Oklahoma's got to figure out how to slow down Toni Morgan. Then that will open up things for everybody else.
Foul on the floor. It's going against the Wildcats. Amelia Hassett, the senior out of Australia, whistled for the foul. So second team foul for the Wildcats.
Reagan Beers is itching to get back in. She's like, Coach, I'm ready. I'm good.
And a traveling violation goes against the Sooners, but this is valuable time for the Sooners to continue to hold on to that lead, as you mentioned, Carolyn, with Beers on the bench.
Well, she has 1 foul, and Jenny does not want her to pick up an early one in this first quarter.
She's at the scorer's table along with Jordan Obi. The ball pressure there from Zaya Vanna. Very strong defender. Step back three for Boone. Won't go. Clara Strack collects the offensive board and asked for it underneath the basket. She was wide open for half a second off the screen, and an offensive foul going against Strack. She displaced the defender there as the Sooner went to the floor. And Beers is coming back into the game.
That was close. I thought Strack had established position to set that screen. But Tony Morgan's got to be a little more patient. A little more patient. You don't want to get your big girl in trouble.
Van, the younger sister of Skylar, as that went too strong from Burholz, but that's okay. Right underneath in cleanup duty in Sooner Red is Reagan Beers for the putback.
I love the footwork of Reagan Beers. You saw her for that rebound, getting the position early and not getting pushed under. She commanded her own space to get that putback.
Here's Lexi Blue over to Morgan. Single digits on the shot clock. Sweeps it back over to Strack. Long three, won't go. And Van out and running, and so is Beers ahead and just can't hold on to it. And they turn it right back over.
Watch Beers. Look, she's holding her own inside, keeping her eyes up, ready to receive and then put back.
Well, we can't stop remarking about just the physical appearance of Reagan Beers and how much stronger she's gotten, how she has really sculpted her body into being in the best shape of her career.
You know, she had that experience with the Americut this summer. She had an injury earlier in the non-conference or in the preseason, but she's been able to get herself right back. And Kenny Brooks talked about, look, Reagan Beers playing 36 minutes. It's going to be tough.
Over the top
that was
from
close
Williams.
for Claire Strack.
Yeah.
Man.
Sixth best shot blocker in the country as they feed it to Strack, who's guarded by Beers. This is the matchup we wanted to see, just making it difficult. And Obi with a nice move underneath the basket, weaving through and rolls off the rim.
Yeah, Obi's 0 for 5 so far today.
They drop it down low. The footwork there from Beers off the spin, no. Well, coming up next on the SEC Network, Backpack Week rolls on. We'll send you to the Pavilion in Oxford for the final game of our triple header. The next chapter in the Magnolia State rivalry. Mississippi State takes on 18th ranked Ole Miss. It's also available on the ESPN app, and the Sooners know just how good Cody McMahon is.
Cody McMahon, 23 points, and at times now running the point for the Rebels. Ole Miss came in red hot. Playing against Oklahoma, everybody was hitting. You had Sirachinu. Latasha Lattimore was on fire. Coach Yo has been able to, she calls it transfer you, but she's been able to get the right pieces to take her program to another level every year.
A couple of Sweet 16 appearances with Coach Yo and looking to push even further this year. We already have seen some shakeup in the AP Top 25 poll as we saw both Oklahoma and Kentucky jump a trio of spots, but we expect some more movement next week.
Yeah, I went back and watched when these two teams played last year. In February, it was the Georgia Amore show. She put up over 40 points. And then in the SEC tournament, it was Nick Pentuck all the way through. Some players, both Reagan Beers and Claire Strack, got into some foul trouble, but it was Oklahoma that was able to pull off that tight win.
The take to the basket from Smith, no, and she's fouled. Jordan Obi whistled for the personal foul as Smith will go to the line.
And Kaya Smith is so athletic. She's got terrific length. I think that Jordan Obi kind of got shoved into the mess by Reagan Beers.
There's 0.1 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Missing the front end of two is Kaya Smith, the sophomore out of Oklahoma City. That one bounces in. And that takes us to the close of the first quarter. A 17-11 advantage for the fifth-ranked Oklahoma Sooners here on the road in Lexington. Advantage for the Oklahoma Sooners after the first quarter, and we came in telling you that this is one of the most prolific offenses in the nation thus far, second best in scoring at 92+ points a game. Ahead of them, LSU, but also some very familiar names within the conference in Texas and South Carolina as well.
When you look at that, the first top four teams in scoring all come from the same conference. So we're in for a treat this SEC season.
When you think about it, LSU, who is in action currently against Texas, they're going head-to-head right now over on ESPN. South Carolina held to just 65 points in their win earlier against Georgia, which you saw right here on the SEC Network.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that Texas-LSU score.
So far, Texas 6-0 against ranked teams this season. Meanwhile, the leading scorers in this game, Peyton Verhulst pacing the way thus far with 7 points after a tough outing last Thursday. Meanwhile, Tony Morgan, 3 of 4 from the floor with 6 points for Kentucky. The rest of the Wildcats, just 1 of 11.
Well, in Oklahoma, having this 6-point lead, and Reagan Beers only played 6 minutes in that first quarter.
As we start the second here, 7th meeting all time between the two. Kentucky with a 4-2 advantage. As you mentioned, these teams last met last March in the SEC quarterfinals, with OU besting the Cats 69-65. Chavez all the way to the rack.
I think it's going to be the team that is able to get a bite of the paint is going to be the one that's going to be most successful offensively. A lot of Kentucky's offense has been around the perimeter.
I'll tell you, Tony Morgan, who flips it up there, goes behind the backboard, has been the one aggressive player for Kentucky who is just continuing to take it to the hoop.
Yeah, I think as long as Kentucky keep their offense elevated and give those driving lanes to Tony Morgan, make Oklahoma's defense have to over-rotate, then you get those three-point shots.
Williams into Verhulst. She's been the hot hand thus far for the Sooners.
But see, another paint touch, and then it gives them an opportunity, for an offensive rebound. Reagan Beers called for the double dribble.
And she had great position deep in the paint to get that. Reagan Beers, as we mentioned, coming in, averaging a double-double. She's got 4 points, 4 rebounds thus far.
I think she's got her eyes on playing at the next level in the WNBA, and I think her conditioning and the extension of her range will definitely make her a high pick in the draft.
Hassett into Strack, the fadeaway, no, falls hard to the floor as it pops out. Chavez with a clear path to the hoop, and she just accelerated so quickly. 7 points now for the freshman Aaliyah Chavez.
I like her decision-making so far today, recognizing, yeah, she could have pulled the trigger at the 3, but saw the defense running at her and took it to the rim.
Deflected by the defense for the Sooners, out and running in transition, Sahara Williams. And it was deflected and last touch by OU. Well, this is our SEC Network Wednesday men's basketball doubleheader as Kentucky takes on LSU and the PMAC in Baton Rouge at 7 Eastern, followed by Darius Acuff, and number 15 Arkansas hosting South Carolina and Fayetteville. Both are also available on the ESPN app, as Kentucky coming off that win in Rupp Arena yesterday against Mississippi State.
I think that was probably Kentucky's men's best game that they played last night.
Meanwhile, Kentucky's women's basketball team having a tough time shooting the basketball so far this evening, as that one pops out halfway down for Asia Boone. Offensive rebound, they swing it over. Morgan has it, just 21% from the floor so far in this game. Obi collects it. Morgan, open look for 3.
You watch the wrestle match between Beers and Strack underneath, inside. Beers just took Strack out, had no opportunity there.
So we said coming into today's game, 2 of the best bigs you'll see in the country, and Reagan Beers and Clara Strack. And it is going to be a very physical ball game throughout. That was one of the things that Kenny Brooks mentioned beforehand. This is among the most physical teams that you'll see in the country. He says the most physical that we have faced this season.
Well, you look at Reagan Beers, you know, she had to deal with Christine Awala of Ole Miss. She's gone against Lauren Betts at UCLA.
And Williams with a couple of tries. No, Morgan spills, or rather Obi spills back the other way. Out to Blue.
That's just one and done for Kentucky.
0 from beyond the arc, 0 of 9, and then coming back the other way, Tony Morgan fouls the three-point shooter in Zaya Van, and Morgan just patted her chest immediately after, said that was my bad.
Yeah, those are mistakes that cannot be made. Kenny Brooks talked to his team today about how disciplined and intentional they were going to have to be. You see Zaya lining it up. Morgan would have been better off just keeping your feet and giving the contest.
The sophomore, Zaya Van out of Edmond, Oklahoma. Drastic improvement from last year to this year. And she's been inserted into the starting lineup. And when we talked with Jenny Baranczyk, you know, she said, this is a player who is continuing to thrive. And what I love most is that she's just a joy to coach.
Well, in her freshman year, she was playing behind 5 seniors. Didn't get a lot of time. She was an impact player in the SEC tournament. Wasn't on the scoring end, but defensively and making the right decisions in the attack and making the right assists. So you saw her maturation through her freshman year to show that she would be ready to step into that starting spot this season.
See there, Oklahoma has done a great job on the defensive end, but also Kentucky has just not hit shots. They've missed 15 of their last 16 field goal attempts, including the last 10.
Well, Oklahoma has built a wall. It's been tough to get in the lane.
Morgan launches the three. She got it to fall. She has been the one bright spot offensively for Kentucky, as she's got 9 points now.
Tony Morgan, she's a player that graduated from Georgia Tech in 3 seasons and then making the transition coming here to Kentucky. When you have to fill the shoes or replace a player like Georgia Amore at that point guard spot, I think that Kenny Brooks went out and got the right person in Tony Morgan.
Strack towering for that rebound. Jordan Obi moving, doesn't have numbers, but tried to accelerate. And she was face guarded by Williams. But back to that point about Morgan, I mean, just the fact that she has done an amazing job taking care of the basketball. Also, as we said, second best in the country in assists. But the scoring threat has also been appreciated. Back-to-back threes now, and Amelia Hassett, she's somebody that Kenny Brooks wants to see get going.
And Kentucky seems to be answering the call. There's an answer by Oklahoma. But in that Alabama game, when the tide started to roll, it just seemed like things went from bad to worse for Kentucky. They're not backing down against Oklahoma today.
Well, lessons learned through the SEC season. Nothing stops, as these coaches are well aware of the gauntlet that is, but you've got to find a way to bounce back and answer the call here. KK Carroll launching from 3 in transition. She got it to fall. Okay, and all of a sudden, Kentucky has gotten hot, especially from beyond the arc. They pulled within 4. So after missing their first 9 threes, they just dropped 3 straight.
All you got to do is see one go through. Shooting can be contagious. Can the Wildcats keep this up at home against Oklahoma Sooners? Threes. They went 0 for 9 to start this game, but they hit the last 3. That's how they have been able. They were shooting the ball like Steffi Sorensen did when she was a Florida Gator.
Oh, Steffi, who would let it fly. And I'll tell you this, Tony Morgan, who has not been afraid and has looked for her offense, but now other teammates are getting involved. Hassett, Carroll, who have also knocked down triples as well to cut the lead to now just 4.
Well, one of the big concerns for Jenny Baranczyk was that if Kentucky can get to that second level of the defense, then that's when the shooters get their time to pull the trigger. KK Carroll came in. That was a big substitution with this big lineup for Kentucky. That was underneath, out of bounds. Hassett from the perimeter. And then KK Carroll in transition, able to knock it down before the Oklahoma defense able to get set.
Well, Kenny Brooks wouldn't necessarily call his team a 3-point shooting team, but when you look at the statistics, top 3 in the SEC in terms of attempts and makes. So they have been red hot from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, nice lob inside, over the top. Peyton Verhulst converts, and that's how you come out of bounds and you answer, or rather come out of a break and answer and slow down that pace of Kentucky that we saw.
Well, the execution from the freshman of Aaliyah Chavez on that perfect pass to Verhulst.
Strack with an open look. Won't fall. Chavez trying to get a hand on it. Last touch by Hassett. It's going to be Oklahoma basketball. Well, Chavez, the freshman out of Lubbock, Texas, who was just a dynamic scorer. And that one blocked from behind by KK Carroll. And Carroll, who has come in and made her minutes count thus far in this 5-6 matchup here at home. And one of the rare miscues from Tony Morgan in this game.
Like Kentucky, one of the best teams in the country at blocking shots, and a lot of it has to do with the length and really across all 4 positions except for that point guard spot.
This is one of the tallest teams as Morgan gets a hold of it off the steal. The bounce pass over to Carroll. And the freshman, who has just got such an unbelievably bright future, has come in here and made a difference off the bench. And Brooks told us, hey, look, she is a player who's got to play well. Expect her to be impactful.
Now, what the freshman has to do is embrace the physicality. And look, after December, after that Christmas break, you're no longer a freshman. You got to be ready to step into the role, because in the SEC, this is a grown woman's game.
Makes you grow up real quick, fast, and in a hurry. But they say she's a player that's very mature for her age. Let's see how she continues the rest of the slate.
Well, that maturation has got to be quick, because Tiana Keys is going to be out for a couple of weeks.
Beers, tough shot, rolls it around the rim as she falls. And Reagan Beers, again, the strength that we have seen from this young woman.
Okay, but on that last possession, how many passes can you make in the lane and not get 3 seconds?
Strack answering back the other way. Again, we said we would have that Biggs matchup, the post going buckets back to back, and then Chavez gets into the action. 9 points now for the freshman.
Be interesting to watch Claire Strack. How high can she pull Reagan Beers instead of having to score against her with the back to the basket?
Well, if she's able to knock down threes like that, and something that she has added to her game thus far, it will have to pull Beers out a little bit more on the handoff to Morgan.
You know, there's a difference in shooting threes when you have to versus when you want to. And that's what Kenny Brooks wants Claire Strack to get to, where she wants to pull that trigger.
Off the glass! The bank is closed on Sunday, but that's all right, because Tony Morgan still got it to go and won.
We talked about Tony Morgan being more of a scoring threat. She knew the shot clock was running down, and then getting her feet behind the three-point line. Most important, knocks it down and gets a trip to the free throw line.
Tony Morgan, who has just been outstanding thus far in this first half. She's got 15 points now to lead all scorers. Again, she was great against LSU, hit that buzzer beater, had a double-double against the Tigers, and then came right back in that win against Missouri.
Remember when Gino Auriemma said, we have Diana Taurasi and you don't? Well, Oklahoma has Reagan Beers, and when you need a bucket, that's exactly where you need to go.
Back over to Strack. Carroll. Off the screens. Morgan looking. Push just ever so slightly, and that is the second personal foul for Reagan Beers. With just over 2.5 to go in the half. And Ginny Baranchek and Beers wish she could have that back.
Yeah, Beers has just got to use her size right there, knowing that she already had the one foul.
One thing that she can feel confident in is the way that her team played with Beers on the bench, just trying to manage.
It's good ball movement. It's been a tough night for Jordan Obi.
She's 0 from the field thus far, but she continues to attack, and she'll go to the charity stripe to shoot a couple. Kentucky 4 of 6 from the free throw line so far in this one. Well, the gymnastics season is underway, and these are our first SEC Network meets Friday. Coming up, you'll see number 2 LSU squaring off against 12th ranked Georgia, and then you'll also see number 1 Oklahoma and Missouri, along with Auburn and Arkansas. All 3 meets you can also see on the ESPN app.
Did you see all those teams ranked high in the country? It's like women's basketball in the SEC.
No doubt. It's an offensive foul called against Beatrice Culleton. But 8 teams in the top 25 for the SEC, so many of them littering in the top 10. The SEC don't play.
No, not at all.
A 2-point ball game. Oklahoma led by as many as 13 in this first half. And then Clara Strack is whistled for the personal foul. So that's her second as well.
Yeah, Kenny Brooks is not gonna risk Clara Strack picking up number 3. I think if Strack had just stayed still and let Toni Morgan come off her hip.
Verhulst and Chavez, who have been great in this first half for the Sooners. Stolen away, poked away from behind. Wildcats maintain the basketball. Toni Morgan pulling it out, looking to the benches. Zia Van picks her up.
KK Carroll's got to be strong with the basketball. Number 20 in white at the top.
Morgan got stuck. Blues got to get a shot up. Heaves it in desperation, and a shot clock violation. So great defense there from OU.
So now this last minute and a half, I think it's going to be a battle between these 2 point guards, Aaliyah Chavez and Toni Morgan. Especially with the 2 bigs for each team. Strack and Beers on the bench.
Verhulst spin move, fade away, tough shot. So just over a minute to go in this SEC showdown from the Bluegrass State.
It's going to be about clock management now for this last minute to end the half.
Toni Morgan with the ball in her hands finds Lexi Blue. Obi with position inside, working on Beatrice Culleton, and that one finally goes. First made field goal for Jordan Obi right there that ties the ball game at 34 all.
Kentucky's defense has turned up in this second quarter. You see a lot more deflections coming from the Wildcats than you did in that first quarter.
On the inbound, Sahara Williams, a player for Jenny Baranczyk, who has been fantastic this season. She has been quiet in this first half. Chavez pulls up, no, back iron. And Verhulst on the ground with Carroll. Possession arrow in favor of the Sooners. They're calling it, at least signaling, as the jump ball, so the possession does stay with the Sooners. Shot clock and game clock nearly identical.
Can Toni Morgan keep the ball or keep Aaliyah Chavez contained these last 12 seconds?
Chavez, ball fake, can't get the bounce, and that takes us to the close of the first half. An entertaining one it was. It was the first swing by Oklahoma. Kentucky had a surge there in the second quarter, and we're fine. We're here at 34 all here historic Memorial Coliseum, as we'll send it to Alyssa Lang and Steffi Sorensen in the studio. Off the court, a tie ball game, 34-all between the top two teams, top 5 and 6 teams in the country. Hey, Carolyn Peck, Tiffany Green here with you. It was Oklahoma led by as many as 13. Then we saw a big run from Kentucky, and we came out talking about the two of the best in the country, and Reagan Beers, Clara Strack. Your thoughts on how they played in the first half?
Well, Reagan Beers has 8 points, and she did that in 10 minutes. Clara Strack, she had to play almost 17 minutes, only 6 points. It wasn't those two. It was the and others. Peyton Verholst, who was 1 for 14 against Ole Miss, she has come out hot. She already is 4 of 8 from the floor. She's been able to find her shot, shooting the ball with much more confidence, and the offense has had to flow through Tony Morgan, who has been on attack mode, taking it one-on-one, and when the shot clock's running down, even being ready, willing to knock down the big shots. I think that's the big reason. Look, we're all knotted up here at the half.
Tony Morgan, who has scored or assisted on 25 of Kentucky's 34 points. Both teams, as you mentioned, trying to bounce back off of losses Thursday. Oklahoma had their 13-game winning streak snapped against Ole Miss. Zayvan coming out tough with the defense, comes up with a steal, and then a traveling violation. And Chavez hands it back over the Wildcats.
Yeah, the biggest difference I felt between the first quarter and second quarter of both teams' defense. It was Oklahoma that had built a wall and not allowed Kentucky to get inside the paint. In that second quarter, Kentucky much more active, a lot more deflections, and really disrupting the Oklahoma offense.
In addition to Tony Morgan, who has to step up in your eyes? Obviously, we know Clara Strack is a focal point. Is there anybody else that needs to do more?
Well, I think that Asia Boone and Amelia Hassett, those are two other offensive options for the Wildcats.
Morgan, tough defense there from Van, leaves it short. Obi is there to collect and puts it in. Jordan Obi, who had her opportunities in the first half, is coming back the other way, and Sahara Williams with her first basket of the game. She had been relatively quiet. We could see more from both Obi and Williams in the second half.
Yeah, I think Williams has got to be more assertive in this second half for Oklahoma.
Obi looking for somewhere to go, working on Williams. The step through, puts it up, and Williams collects the rebound.
That's going to be a matchup to keep your eye on. Jordan Obi and Sahara. I mean, Reagan Beers just wrapped up Jordan Obi down low with the post up.
So 38-36 lead for the 5th-ranked Sooners. First time in top 5 in the AP poll in a number of years, as Clara Strack gets her first 2 of the second half.
We haven't seen that Dirk Lewinsky move from
No.
Clara Strack. She's been more intentional of going off 2 feet.
Well, Big Blue Nation didn't like the position that Reagan Beers just got there. And again, similar to that last possession that she had, really deep in the paint.
Well, you just wonder if Kentucky makes the adjustment. They're going to have Obi. You see, Reagan Beers she's delivering the physicality.
Clara Strack is on the receiving end of it. And she is visibly.
Obi's got her wrapped. And Beers is just holding her own. Both players, I think, have some illegal contact. And again, Beers getting 2 feet in the paint. Obi just a little too small to handle Beers down low.
We saw Strack take some punishment, but also Tony Morgan, who fell to the floor, a little banged up as well. As we'll step aside here, 7:45 to go in the third quarter. We'll come back here to historic Memorial Coliseum. Currently under an official review, and that last contact between Reagan Beers and Clara Strack. Gina Cross, Kyle Bacon, Timothy Green, our officials for today. Take a look at it here. Underneath there, a lot of contact, and The fans inside the Coliseum just being alerted that there is no contact that would elicit a flagrant foul.
Well, Reagan Beers, she survived the first half with only 2 fouls, so she's going to be able to play a touch more physical in this second half. I think Oklahoma escaped one there. That could have been 3 on Beers.
Morgan pops it out to Hassett. Hassett for 3. No. Williams grabs the rebound in transition. Verhulst collects it, and Strack comes up with it off the miss.
I told you, this is a grown woman's game.
Yeah.
You can't come out of that begging for fouls.
Morgan, who probed, turns around. Too strong.
Now, this second half, this is where I see Aaliyah Chavez stepping her game up.
You called her name off the mark. Strack and Beers going up for the rebound. Beers comes up with it. Zahara Williams for 3, no. And slowing down the pace. Here's Jordan Obi over to Morgan. Again, Strack, who is looking to bounce back. No Tiani Key for Kentucky. She's out with a right arm injury, or non-shooting arm. And on the take to the hoop is Tony Morgan, who continues to power through for the Wildcats.
Did you see that push-off, though, of Reagan Beers? She's got to be careful, because she has 2 fouls.
A slugfest going back and forth. Obi trying to get position. She's whistled for the personal foul underneath the basket, guarding Beers. Well, we have seen a ton of contact here to open up this third quarter.
Well, Kenny Brooks said that his team defensively against Beers, you cannot allow her to put her body on you. You don't want to wrestle with her. You've got to move your body around, because it plays to her advantage if she can seal you.
That one blocked, deflected partially by Reagan Beers.
But now Beers has Tony Morgan down low.
Morgan, who pops it out.
Kentucky wasn't able to take advantage of the mismatch.
Pace slowed. Over 4 minutes gone by in this third quarter, tied at 40 apiece. Kentucky, who has been perfect at home, looking for a top 5 win. Their second of the season if they can pull it out. There's the defense there. Asia Boone looks for a shot.
Yeah, Boone had experience playing point guard in high school. Got to help carry the load for Morgan.
Loses the handle. Verhulst comes up with it. A tie up there, and it's going to be awarded to the Sooners. Peyton Verhulst, Asia Boone going for the basketball. Just again, what you come to expect in and game out during Southeastern Conference play.
And I think the coaches had a little chess match. Jenny Baranchek saying take Reagan Beers out while Clara Strack is on the bench for Kentucky.
Chavez over 2 defenders, no. Smith is there. And Obi, her 3rd personal foul here, team 2nd, and we'll step aside the under 5 media timeout here from Lexington.
Then continued on and said, because we had a coaching retreat coming up, said enjoy the retreat, but reminded me to be in the office at 5 o'clock.
Ooh, my goodness.
But I tell you, Pat Summitt I mean, just the queen of women's basketball. She was always about how to not just better the game, but better women's sports. And whenever you talk to, and I watched her with several people speak with Pat Summitt, she made you feel like you were the only person in the room. Just such a sincere and caring woman.
The start of our week-long initiative focused on bringing awareness and recognition to the Pat Summitt Foundation and its fight against Alzheimer's disease. Thank you for sharing that, Carroll. As Clara Strack comes out of the break, the and one, and Clara Strack puts Kentucky back on top.
With Reagan Beers on the bench, Kentucky's got to be intentional about getting touches for Clara Strack inside and see what kind of damage can be done. When Strack scored on one end, Beers is up on the bench. You know she's inching to get back on the floor.
I mean, the slugfest as is the offensive foul called against Van.
Yeah, both these teams are coming off 2 physical games. You had Alabama and Kentucky and Ole Miss and Oklahoma. And the losers of those games, which were these 2 teams, when they got punched, they backed down. There can be no back down from either one of these 2 teams today.
Reagan Beers back in the ball game. She's on Clara Strack from 3, and it's outside. Amelia Hassett, her second from beyond the arc today. Stretching out to now a 5-point lead for the 6th-ranked Wildcats.
Moving Clara Strack up away from the basket and then giving her the opportunity to drive. The slip by Smith gave Hassett just enough time.
And right now, the Cats are taking advantage, turning Oklahoma over. They've stretched out to now tying their largest lead of the game at just 5. And here looking to tack on some more. Strack again working high, putting it on the deck. Here's Hassett. And 7 to go on the shot clock. Tony Morgan pulls up, the jumper pops out. Hassett got a hand on it, and Beers collects it. I just feel like the recovery areas for both of these teams going to be so important, because the way that everybody's bodies are hitting the floor, how they are taking the pushes and shoves of each other, everybody's going to feel it after today's game.
You've got Texas and South Carolina sitting at the top of the SEC right now. Both of these teams want to get back there so they know every single one of these games count. Asia Boone able to draw another foul on Oklahoma. Now you get your feet parallel, get in correct defensive position, and then brace your body ready to absorb the contact.
Morgan won't go. Here's Chavez back the other way. You mentioned South Carolina, Texas, 2 Final Four teams from a season ago. Could we very well see maybe one of these making it that way. And again, back-to-back offensive foul for Jenny Baranczyk's team.
Yeah, that was KK Carroll trying to defend. I think they called that on Sahara Williams.
In the corner, 3, no for Carroll.
And look at Williams, she's out like a wide receiver.
Yeah. That one blocked by the Cats, one of the top blocking teams in the country, as we tell you what we've got for you next here on the SEC Network as we backpack week rolls on. Mississippi State heading to Oxford to face off against Coach O and the Ole Miss Rebels. That's coming up right after this one. You can also catch it on the ESPN app.
Gotta love the in-state rival.
Do they still consider it the Egg Bowl?
Oh, I think
court,
in
yeah.
Mississippi they do.
Okay.
Peyton Verhulst able to get 2 for Oklahoma, try to chip away. They want to stay at least in striking distance right now against Kentucky.
Kentucky, who used a strong second quarter to tie up the ball game, has come out here strong, and again a lot of contact between Beers and Strack, and Strack is popping back up, but Beers is like, I'm gonna make you feel it.
Well, here's what Kentucky's doing. They're being intentional. Every touch possession down the floor, they're giving Claire Strack touches and gonna challenge Beers. Now that she's playing with 3 fouls, I would say they will even more so go to whoever Beers is defending.
When you think about Clara Strack, the junior out of Buffalo, New York, came in to the SEC, came into the SEC last year after transferring from Virginia Tech. She had one of those games against Vanderbilt. She got pushed around quite a bit. And she said, you know, look, is every game like this in the SEC? She said she felt exhausted there. Great defense from Strack, 13 and White. Thought about the 3 instead.
See, that hesitation is what Kenny Brooks wants Strack to get rid of.
Good look for Boone, just won't go down.
Yeah, I saw that maturation of the WNBA of Asia Wilson over the last couple of years, where Becky Hammond wanted Asia Wilson, when you catch it, no, that's your shot. That's where Claire Strack's got to get to.
A player who is one of the best in the nation, outstanding passer, always seeking that improvement so that she can make it to the ranks of the WNBA and play with the likes of an Asia Wilson.
You look at Toni Morgan, the defense that she has put on Aaliyah Chavez. Chavez only 9 points so far today.
Verhulst, who had 9 in the first half, passes it off to Stewart, no. And Asia Boone, who has been active here in this third quarter, scoops it over to Hassett. And Kentucky has gone nearly 3 minutes scoring drought. Morgan trying to break that on the baseline. Saves it. Good look for Asia Boone, who gets better position. Looks down, the 3 won't fall. But the offensive rebounding was a question mark coming in. It's how they would hang with one of the best rebounding teams in the country, and they've done so well in the absence of Tiana Key.
Yeah, Oklahoma only has a 7 rebound advantage over Kentucky.
Open look, and just can't make the mid-range baseline jumper is Carroll. Under a minute to go in this third quarter. 5-6 SEC showdown. Two of the top teams in the nation duking it out here in historic Memorial Coliseum. Oklahoma 1 of 12 of the last 8 minutes from the field, as their offense has gone stagnant. You talked about the defense of Toni Morgan putting the clamps on Aaliyah Chavez for the most part so far today. Verhulst from 3, no. Bounced around. Verhulst with a nice handoff to Stewart.
Yeah, heads up play by Peyton Verhulst.
Ooh. Morgan, little shake and bake action. And she'll go to the line and shoot a couple with 3.4 seconds left in the third.
Morgan with the pearl. Back and forth. Did 1 pearl, 2. Not the finish, but she gets some opportunity at the charity stripe.
Well, Morgan, who has just been outstanding her last 11 games coming in. She's had a team leading 16 points on 52% shooting and from beyond the arc so far today. She has led the way for the Cats, pacing them in scoring now with 19 points to lead all scorers this evening.
Kenny Brooks had Jordan Obie at the table, and I'm thinking she has 3 fouls. I wouldn't risk it. with just 3 seconds left.
Chavez heaves it up from half court, won't go. And a 5-point advantage in the swing in favor of Kentucky coming out of the timeout, holding Oklahoma to their fewest points of any field here in historic Memorial Coliseum on the Hardwood. We have seen a lot of physicality here today.
You don't think we got two teams that are wanting to battle back to erase that loss that they just came off Thursday night? Well, in order to do that, you're going to have to maybe put in a mouth guard and a helmet, because this second half has been rough and tough. But there has been no back down from either team. And this fourth quarter, hey, buckle up. We're in for a good one.
No doubt. And when we talked with Jenny Baranczyk earlier today, you know, she said, hey, that was the thing that was missing from us against Ole Miss. She felt like they retreated. They didn't bring that same level of intensity and toughness. Well, they certainly traveled with it here with them in Lexington.
Well, they're going to have to, because Kentucky, though, playing short-handed, that means everybody else has got to step their game up to another level. What's going to be key for both teams in this fourth quarter is to play solid and to keep your emotions in check, because this game means so much to both of these teams.
When you think about the gauntlet and the stretch of games that teams go through, I mean, Oklahoma is in the midst of 4 ranked opponents. They saw Ole Miss. Now they've got Kentucky, LSU, and South Carolina coming up next.
I think every coach in the country, they want to complain about the stretch of tough games. Well, everybody's got to go through it. Hey, welcome to the SEC. I'm still waiting for Aaliyah Chavez to cut loose. She's been much more conservative, I feel like, against Kentucky. But I think that Tony Morgan has had a lot to do with that.
Beers with the hoop and harm, drawing the foul on Jordan Obi, now her 4th. And another look here.
A good move by Oklahoma, knowing that Jordan Obi is undersized against Reagan Beers, and Beers so good at finishing on both sides, either side of the basket.
So Obi will go to the bench. Beers at the free throw line. And misses that one. She's got 14 points on 7 of 11. Here's Strack, kicked it out to Carroll. Well off the mark, comes up with it. There's Hassett to Strack again. And nice find and finish there for Clara Strack. Last year's SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Now they put Hassett on Beers. When we talk about the triplets for Kenny Brooks and Clara Strack, Amelia Hassett, and Tiani Key, who is missing from today's game. She's out for the 2nd game in a row with a right arm injury that she suffered back against Missouri. The block from behind, a couple of cats for her right there to block Beers' shot. Boone saves it and then throws it right into the hands of Zaya Van. Verhulst pulls the trigger from 3, no.
You got to look at time and score. Reagan Beers had not crossed half court. Nobody inside to provide an offensive rebound. There was no need for Oklahoma to be in that big a rush.
So 16 seconds left on the shot clock. Verhulst will inbound it in front of the OU bench.
And Hassett now working hard to front Beers instead of getting buried in the paint.
And it's Beers called for the offensive foul. That's her 4th personal foul. Another look here. They were trying to get the screen action going. So Beers will take a seat, and the freshman Brooklyn Stewart will come in.
Now can Kentucky take advantage and go back to how they started the third quarter, getting touches for Strack, number 13 in white.
5-point ball game in favor of Kentucky, who's been perfect at home this season. Taken away by Williams. Chavez behind the back, pull up. Got it. That was a deep 2 from Aaliyah Chavez.
Yeah, just a matter of time, and you see Chavez giving the signal, let's speed things up. That's the kind of game she likes to play.
Well, she can be a difference maker, the freshman phenom who now has 11 points. Clara Strack kicks it out to Hassett in the corner. Carroll got a hand on it, but Williams comes up with it.
Yeah, you let Chavez go to work.
Carroll looking for someone to give the ball to. Strack gets it across half court.
KK Carroll has given 16 solid minutes to the Wildcats. Number 20 in white. Just a freshman playing in a big, big top 10 matchup today.
And brought in as more of a wing, but has been practicing more with the post, and obviously with Key out, they've needed her as shot clock winding down, and Tony Morgan makes the move and the hoop. And she comes up gimpy after that make, as Tony Morgan with her 4th 20-point game of the season, and a timeout taken on the floor with 7 minutes remaining here in Lexington. So Tony Morgan trying to power the way. She's got 21 in this one. In this fourth quarter, 7 minutes remaining. Jenny Baranczyk needs to see what out of her offense.
Well, I think that you've got to get organized, and I would play more through Aaliyah Chavez. She's been, yeah, she has 11 points, but with Reagan Beers on the bench, some ball screen action. Let Chavez go at Clara Strack and see where the help is going to come from. And if it's not there, let Chavez cook.
From the elbow, Chavez, it bounces off Clara Strack, who holds on to the basketball, goes down awkwardly. And they're gonna say that's a jump ball. Oklahoma keeps it.
Keep an eye on Chavez, who's inbounding the basketball. Get it back.
Quick release, and she drains it for 3.
Now, Chavez is a freshman that is trying to find that balance of when I distribute and organize the team, and when she needs to take over and start producing points.
Clara Strack goes down hard on her ride to the hoop, helped up by her teammates. Stewart with her fourth personal foul, and back to that Chavez bucket.
Yeah, she's instant offense. Tony Morgan late to get there, and that's money. But then on the other end, Clara Strack is going to need an ice bath after this one today.
Strack knocks down the free throw. Kentucky thus far 11 of 14 from the line. Second team All-SEC a season ago. Clara Strack now with 16 points. Well, Chavez, who has made a 3 in every game that she's played. That's the longest streak, breaking Taylor Robertson's record for OU. We'll see if she can continue to spill out more points as the fadeaway from Verholz left short. Well, how do you manage and distribute with Peyton Verholz, Reagan Beers, a player like Aaliyah Chavez who comes into the picture, and balance who gets the basketball and the shots?
I think that you've got to have experience. Your veterans on the floor take charge of who's running the floor. Right now, I think it is a free-for-all, equal opportunity offense. Have plan A of what you want to have on contact. Look, Tony Morgan is Aaliyah Chavez's shadow right now, not giving her a whole lot. So when a player's playing, a good shooter that way, run offenses where she can give it up and then go, run a give and go.
So they're going to appeal. It looked like there was a signal for appeal by the OU bench. After that, it was last touched by the Sooners. That's what was called. But it looked like Morgan was the last to touch it there.
Yeah, Zia Van quickly started the tornado motion. She didn't touch it. And look, Oklahoma has 3 timeouts. They could afford to challenge this one, have the appeal. Yeah, I think that's off Tony Morgan.
Yeah. And after the review, so Oklahoma wins the appeal.
Will retain their timeout.
As you heard Gina Cross just say, they'll keep their timeouts. They have 3 along with Kentucky. And the Sooners will have the basketball.
Again, watch Chavez once the ball comes in. Where does she go?
You just give her a little bit of space, and Chavez can do just that. Brings Oklahoma within 2 with the made bucket. And Aaliyah Chavez now with 16 points.
And Oklahoma having to buy time with Reagan Beers on the bench with 4 fouls.
And at one point we heard this crowd inside the gym really get into it, but on pins and needles right now, very tense moments here in the final 5+ minutes as Oklahoma will get the basketball back.
Tony Morgan is cramping her calf. You can see it from here. It's tightening up.
Right now, they need their experienced veteran guard to push through here in the final 5 minutes to try to hold on and knock off a top 5 opponent. Last time they did it was against Mississippi State back in 2017.
It's so hard for Kenny Brooks to take Tony Morgan off the floor.
Chavez thought about it, got a little extra space, launches from 3, no. Verhulst, the little wraparound, and puts it back in to tie up the ball game.
That is a huge offensive rebound by Peyton Verhulst.
Well, +8 in the rebounding margin for Oklahoma here on the road as Strack with the face up to Culleton. Trying to push her way through and steps through and gets the bucket.
That's what Kentucky's got to take advantage of Reagan Beers being on the bench.
Chavez had that one deflected, and they're going to say a foul against Clara Strack. She can't believe it, and neither can the fans. Third personal foul for Clara Strack.
Oh yeah, she got her on the hand.
Yep.
That's a good call.
So Chavez will shoot 2 at the line as Jordan Obi checks in. KK Carroll takes a seat.
Now Jordan Obi comes in the game. She has 4. And with 4 minutes left, you can't play conservative. You got to go play basketball. If you foul out, you just foul out. I like this freshman and Aaliyah Chavez.
Gatorade, Naismith, Sports Illustrated, everybody's National Player of the Year coming out of high school from Lubbock, Texas. We saw her take over the game and try to surge in that comeback against Ole Miss. She's got 9 points in this 4th quarter for the Sooners so far. And Obi coming back the other way. Jordan Obi with a 3-point play opportunity.
Obi is not unfamiliar with playing on the block. Terrific footwork. That pivot foot was nailed to the floor And on the turnaround, the focus on the finish.
Pin transfer. Graduated a 3-time All-Ivy selection. Sat out last year with a ruptured Achilles. And Helton Jordan Obi has helped put Kentucky up by 2 as that one fell short for Chavez. In transition, Obi again, yes! Jordan Obi with the last 4 Kentucky points.
And Kenny Brooks has switched up. Asia Boone now has the responsibility of trying to check Aaliyah Chavez. Jordan Obi, little Euro step. And the finish in transition.
Just over 3.5 remaining in this one. Number 5, Oklahoma, trying to not suffer back-to-back losses as Beers and Hassett both go down. No call on the floor, and it goes out against the Sooners.
Now Reagan Beers has Claire Strack. This is the matchup we talked about at the top of the show.
Back into Strack, off of 1 foot. Tough shot for Strack, not the one you want there in that possession, understanding that Beers has those 4 personal fouls.
Oh, rim unkind to the Sooners.
Zyvan all the way down with Morgan in the corner. Is Hassett, no for 3. Beers snatches it out the air for the rebound. Sooners setting up. Chavez pushing off of Boone, finds Beers inside of the block. Kentucky coming up with the defense that they need right on time. And Kentucky spins a timeout with 2:05 remaining in the 4th and the lead.
I mean, Oklahoma had everything they thought they wanted, and out of nowhere, not Jordan Obi, but Tony Morgan coming from behind to get the block.
Her 13th block of the season, 8th of the day for the Wildcats. They paced the nation last year with blocks, 2nd in the country this year at just over 7.5.
They have 8 blocks so far today. Most of the time you can accumulate blocks when you have a significant height advantage. That last block was the smallest player on the floor, blocking the tallest player on the floor in Reagan Beers.
Big time matchup, quad 1 win opportunity to boost the resume for both of these teams here this evening. Obi backing down Verhulst, turnaround Jay, pops out, Strack gets the offensive rebound.
You got a new clock, you can take your time. Time and score is going to be crucial down the stretch.
Morgan switched through, gets to the free throw line. No, not the legs there, but another O-board collected by Kentucky. 10 now in this game.
Oh, that can take the wind out of your sails. In the same position, give up 2 big offensive rebounds.
Strack for 3. No, another O-board. My goodness, and Kentucky controlling the pace, working time off the clock, more than a minute in this possession alone. And the block by Beers. And the big stuff there from Beers as Morgan, who has taken a lot of punishment today. She is laying it all out there on the line, slow to get up. We saw her cramp up a little bit earlier, hold her right arm. It just speaks to just how physical this game has been.
In one possession, 3 offensive rebounds by Kentucky. Just trying to hold on to this 4-point lead. And like Toni Morgan has looked to play in discomfort this whole second half, but she has not backed down from the moment.
Poked away from behind, and Toni Morgan, who is going down to the floor after her great defense.
Now look, Kenny Brooks has 2 timeouts if he wants to try to get Toni Morgan hydrated, because she continues to grab at her legs. She's cramping, and that has been her discomfort. And look, Claire Strack says she's good. Her 4 teammates don't want her coming off the floor. But she is giving all she's got. And you just see, she just crumbles over. Just locked up at the top of your screen.
In the process, Sahara Williams was called for the personal foul, her 3rd, team's 4th. So Kentucky could be in the bonus the rest of the way as a timeout taken on the floor by Kenny Brooks to rally his troops here with 54.2 seconds left. And what are you discussing in each huddle, Carroll?
I think it's a good timeout by Kenny Brooks because, number 1, it gives a little extra rest for Toni Morgan and an opportunity for her to hydrate. Number 2, he can advance the basketball. He wants to get the ball away from Oklahoma's basket as far as he can. Now, for Oklahoma, what they got to do is try to get a 5-second count. They need to try to force a turnover. They don't have to foul right now, but they need to play all out, sell out, go for every steal possible and try to turn Kentucky over.
Oklahoma, who has 3 timeouts, trailing in this one. The next foul by the Sooners will send Kentucky to the free throw line. 1 timeout remaining for the Wildcats.
Now you got to try to trap it. Don't allow Kentucky just to hold the basketball.
Gets it over to Morgan. And Oklahoma trying not to foul. It's 3 seconds left on the shot clock. No for Morgan, and Beers collects it. Van nearly walked. Chavez heaves it up. It's short, and Toni Morgan has the rebound. She'll go to the charity stripe for 2. 15 seconds remaining. And right now, the Cats can make it a 2-possession game. It is a 2-possession game. They can stretch out the lead a little bit more.
When you look at the play of Toni Morgan, and it started even in the first quarter, she was very aggressive on the offensive end and attacking the basket, but you also have to compliment what she has done defensively. She has not required help on the defensive end. She's gotten through those ball screens. She has dove on the ball on the floor, getting deflection, steals, the big block that she had. Toni Morgan has done just about a little bit of everything for the Wildcats today.
She has been outstanding thus far. Again, she was terrific against another top 5 opponent at LSU on New Year's Day as that one rolls down. She had 24 points, 12 rebounds, no turnovers, and that game winner. And here, she has been the difference maker for the Cats in this one.
Wow, Toni Morgan, like I talked about, in the first quarter, she was pretty much the only Wildcat that could get in the paint. When space was there, she made it happen. But even more impressively, has been on the defensive end. She has been able to get those deflections And it's not just scoring and assisting. Toni Morgan has 8 rebounds tonight as well.
Not only that, Carolyn, she hasn't come off the floor. I mean, she is their point guard. They have needed her. We've talked about just how her veteran leadership has really helped this group. Now 15 seconds left, and her defense has been outstanding.
But what Oklahoma, look, they got to play through Aaliyah Chavez. She gets it in, get it back, and a quick shot is a good shot for Chavez.
Got to get it to Beers, has it, launches the 3, no. Obi had a hand on it, and it's going to be Kentucky basketball.
Yeah, Kenny Brooks wants to advance the basketball, get the ball down on his end of the floor. And now for Oklahoma, look, you got to sell out. You don't want to let the ball come in, got to foul right away if you want to try to extend this game. It's a 5-point game. I mean, that's a 3 and a 2 or a foul. Anything can happen. And I think in this timeout, Kenny Brooks has to talk about just maintaining possession of the basketball. And the players on the floor for Kentucky, Jordan Obi, she shoots 68% from the free throw line. Everybody else, they're pretty good free throw shooters. So you might have Obi take the ball out and then have that option of those free throw shooters on the floor.
You know, Jenny Baranczyk, who has seen her team on a 6-game road winning streak, that's in jeopardy. They snapped a 13-game win streak last game. Not very often do they lose back-to-back games since she's been the head coach. Meanwhile, for Kentucky on this inbound.
Now, should they turn the ball over in the backcourt? Remind them, they still have a foul to give. So the clock still is on the side of the Wildcats. What they don't want to do is let the ball get down the floor and foul Oklahoma in the act of shooting.
Hassett looking to inbound it cleanly. Don't want that 5 seconds, and it was off Morgan as Hassett threw it into her. So Oklahoma gets the basketball. Very little time is taken off the clock. It's going to be OU basketball. Jenny Baranczyk doesn't have the opportunity to huddle the team, but she says, yeah, I do, because I called a timeout. So you discuss here what if you're OU?
Well, is she going to be able to advance the basketball? Did she call for the advance?
Chavez, who is knocked down a 3 today. Peyton Burholz as well, but just 2 of 18 from beyond the arc. So they will be able to advance the basketball, get it in the half court. But Chavez, Burholz, you would think the first 2, or do you try to go for a quick 2?
Well, I would almost not have Chavez take the ball out, to have her where she gets the initial pass in. Use a misdirection of sending everybody to the basketball, have Chavez go away. Somebody that can make that skip, and then have give Chavez the opportunity for the quick 3. Or if she doesn't have it, I mean, you don't really have enough time to drive it, but you want to go the first available score you can get. And again, Kentucky still has a foul to give.
Very important note there, and to your point, Peyton Burholz is going to inbound it for the Sooners. That skip pass you were talking about, exactly the look that they wanted. Chavez leaves it short, the rebound. And 2.2 seconds away from clinching another top 5 win for Kentucky.
You see how much Aaliyah Chavez cares. A frustration on the freshman's face. I mean, she has nothing to hang her head about, because she has done everything that has asked of her. And you can expect the next game out for the Sooners.
She's going to learn a little bit more.
Yep.
That freshman's going to continue to grow up.
Incredibly bright future ahead for her. 18 points today, but just not enough in this one as a 13-point comeback victory for the Kentucky Wildcats, knocking off their second top 5 opponent of the season by a score of 63-57 for Carroll and Peck. I'm Tiffany Green. Now let's send it over.